This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, there's an article here from TalkSport, which of course I'll put in the description box. Go have a read of it, come to your own conclusions, all that kind of stuff. And I believe it comes via the Mirror, but I'm going to put the TalkSport one in the description box for you all. Where Deontay Wilder has pretty much said that Joshua was given his opportunity to fight him and he didn't take it, as in he ducked him. Tyson Fury stepped up, and now the winner of himself, Tyson Fury, will be one face, one name, one champion, all that kind of stuff. And he says that Luis Ortiz is the second best heavyweight in the world behind himself, then Tyson Fury. So this is what Deontay Wilder had to say. Anthony Joshua had his opportunity and his chance to prove and see if he was a goods or he was spoiled milk. They didn't want to accept the challenge because they already know what I possess. They know my mindset and what I'm able to do. They know that he's not on my level. I don't think Joshua has the heart and the mentality to show that he's the best. And even if he does, then his people don't. But that's enough of him. It ain't about him. It's about Tyson Fury. We are the best. And after this fight, you'll see who is the best. One champion, one face, one name. Of course, Joshua beat the guys they put in front of him and tried to hype the media up like they were bigger than what they really were. So he's had his opportunities, and as far as I'm concerned, this fight right here will tell the world who is the best, because I don't feel that Joshua can beat me, nor can he beat Fury, nor the second best heavyweight in the world, Luis Ortiz. I have a strong personal opinion and a strong feeling on that. So that is Deontay Wilder's statement. And in this very same article, he continues with his quote about a previous video that I did 2 videos ago, where he says that he's special and a gift from God. So go have a watch of that video too. So right away, I know that a lot of Wilder fans are going to be like, why are you doing these videos for? Why do you keep hating on Deontay Wilder? Why do you do this and why do you do that? In other words, what they're really trying to say is, we want everybody to believe that Wilder is the best, even though he's never proved it. We want everybody to be deluded about Wilder as we are, even though we actually know that he's been cherry picking for virtually his entire career. Well, not actually virtually, his entire career. Okay. Now, for him to say that Joshua had his chance, did he? He didn't though, did he? Now, again, I'm going to give you guys some facts, and I know a lot of Wilder fans don't like facts. Some of them do. Some of them say, listen, we support Wilder, but we know he avoided Joshua. These are the real boxing fans, okay? But there's a section of Wilder fans that don't want anything factual unless it's about kissing the backside of Wilder, and all they want to do is, you need to get out Joshua's backside, you need to get off Eddie Hearn's knob, all that kind of thing. That's what they say. Sporting Icons on the payroll of Eddie Hearn. Anything that goes anything against what they believe in or they want to believe in, is there has to be a negative effect to it, right? Rather than it's the truth. So anyway, he said that Joshua had his opportunity and his chance to prove if he was a goods. Did he? Okay, again, facts. Listen, it's not difficult to find. Frank Warren said the money was coming from him. We're talking about the 50 million, because a lot of Wilder fans, they can't do anything without mentioning 50 million or 80 million for a rematch, okay? Now, Frank Warren said that he and BT Sport are going to front the money. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, you really should, and really you need to stop watching boxing or get well up to date and stop letting these other Wilder fanatical channels pollute and brainwash you. Okay, it's a known fact that Joshua is contracted to Sky Sports. He cannot fight on any UK platform outside of Sky Sports unless a BT Sport fighter is his mandatory and he loses a purse bid. Then he can fight on BT Sport. Against Wilder, it's not a mandatory, it's a voluntary. It's champion versus champion. It's voluntary. Okay, this fight doesn't have to take place, hence the reason voluntary. In other words, it has to be on Sky Sports. So for them to buy the rights, if you like, to put on the show whenever they want, wherever they want, and broadcast by whoever they want, that's absolutely fine, except for the UK. They can go to Germany, put on any platform, go to US, put on any platform, it doesn't matter. But in UK, it must be Sky Sports. Hence the reason why they cannot accept the money from BT Sport and Frank Warren. Common knowledge, right? And if you didn't know that, now you do. So, now we've shown that the 50 million is fake, It was fake, including the rematch was fake. Joshua cannot fight in BT Sport. Just to reiterate that, and I feel like sometimes I have to repeat stuff because a lot of the Wilder fans just won't register, or they just put up a brick wall. You're just a hater. No, it's not being hating. I mean, since when has turned the truth or a fact hating? It's not. So Joshua then offers Wilder $15 million in contract form. After Wilder says, I accept 15 million and I accept to come to the UK. Is the fight going to be next, or is Joshua going to have another fight? No. You will fight next. Joshua versus Wilder will be next. Okay. So they send a contract through, 5-6 days later, and they then respond to Team Joshua, well, we're not going to sign this because there's no date and venue. Even though he signed to fight Tyson Fury now, for a long time, no date and venue, right? In fact, a lot of fights have no date and venue. But had he have signed that, knowing it was next, it was going to be the last week of October, first week of November. Again, facts. And we knew 100% it was going to be at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. But I know there's quite a few Wilder fans out there who say, well, Joshua took on Povetkin at Wembley, so why does Wilder have to fight at the Principality Stadium and not Wembley? I mean, it's the most ridiculous question ever. Because Showtime, who wanted to do the pay-per-view, could not show that at that time on September 22nd at Wembley Stadium. Why? Because Canelo Triple G rematch was there. They didn't want to be competing with a pay-per-view. And this was the only time Wembley was available. So the next biggest stadium that was available, the Principality Stadium, Cardiff, Wales. But even then, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Had the fight been at Wembley, he's getting 15 million. Had the fight been at the O2 Arena, 15 million. Had the fight been in somebody's back garden, 15 million. Makes no difference, right? But anyway, Wilder didn't want to sign it. And a lot of this, I believe, was down to Shelley Finkel because he had a personal grudge with Eddie Hearn. A lot of you guys would have seen my interview with Eddie Hearn, and I asked him about this question, and he said, yes, he's leaving Shelley Finkel out of negotiations from now on because he has a personal beef with him. And there's a very good chance that he sabotaged that deal. Okay, so Wilder had a contract, but he didn't sign it. Even though previously he's sending out messages to Anthony Joshua saying, when another champion calls your name, you take the challenge. It's not about money, it's all about legacy. Okay, why did you sign a contract in? You see, the fanatical channels, they leave that bit out. And because they know there's a whole bunch of people out there who will believe them, who will not do the research themselves, okay? Who will just take their word verbatim. Over here, we tell you facts. If I feel Joshua's in the wrong, I will tell you Joshua's in the wrong. It's as simple as that. And people say that I'm just an AJ protector. Well, no, because Dylan White is my favourite heavyweight, not Anthony Joshua. It's got nothing to do with Eddie Hearn either. I've criticised Eddie Hearn. But the Wilder fanatics don't ever criticise Al Heyman, nor do they ever criticise Deontay Wilder. This guy's gone 40 fights and never stepped up. He says that Luis Ortiz is the second best heavyweight, followed by Tyson Fury. So in effect, he's taken a backward step by fighting Tyson Fury, yes? Okay. But Anthony Joshua has unified twice. He's a 3-belt holder out of the 4. So no matter what happens with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, they are not legitimately the number 1 in the division because they only have 1 belt. Joshua has 3. And Joshua did it in 22 fights. Fact, lie. 21 fights, because his 22nd fight was against Alexander Povetkin. A guy, again, fact, that Deontay Wilder was supposed to fight, but ducked. People say, yeah, but Povetkin, he failed a PED test. No, he didn't. It was initially flagged up as a fail, but he was within the legal limit because this specific PED, whatever it was, I admit, and I agree, it should never be in his damn system anyway, but it was previously legal. So he was within the legal limit. So therefore the fight should have went ahead. Hence the reason why Povetkin sued Team Wilder and won. And they're also suing the testing office, whatever it was, the drugs laboratory, because apparently that was contaminated as well. Povetkin won the case. So Wilder avoided Povetkin. Wilder also avoided Vladimir Klitschko. Yet Joshua took it. If a lot of you guys remember when Joshua versus Klitschko happened, Wilder was over here in the UK and did an excellent job, by the way, of doing the punditry work. And when the fight was actually on, he did the commentary on the fight. And previous to it, he was asked, who's going to win this one, Wilder? Joshua or Klitschko? He was picking Klitschko to win. This guy who now he says is an old man and was inactive, this guy was picking Klitschko to win. In fact, him and a lot of his fans, who just became fans at this very moment because Joshua didn't call out Wilder's name, okay, even though that there was another champion around in Joseph Parker, but didn't call out Wilder's name because he knew Wilder isn't going to sign a contract. Wilder has never ever stepped up. He knew he wasn't going to take the fight. So what's the point in giving him shine? And again, you see, we could say, why didn't Deontay Wilder versus Vladimir Klitschko happen? When both of them were managed by the same guy, Shelly Finkel. Didn't happen. Shelly Finkel put out an article right after Wilder won the WBC title on his 33rd fight and said he's not ready. He needs to defend the belt in Alabama. He's still a baby. He's still a prospect. As you guys can see on the screen right now. Again, it's all fact. On 33 fights. Not Joshua, who just had 22 fights. Luis Ortiz, he was offered a fight with Anthony Joshua. Right after Joshua beat Klitschko, Ortiz was a WBA mandatory. But Joshua was IBF champion first when he went into that fight with Klitschko. And he already had a mandatory. These are the rules. So he had to face the IBF mandatory first, and then he had to fight the WBA mandatory. And he said to Luis Ortiz, well, not Joshua specifically, but Eddie Hearn said to Jay Jimenez, and again, it's all documented that Eddie Hearn said, we have to fight our IBF mandatory next, which at the time was Kubrat Pulev, before he pulled out and got replaced with Carlos Takam. Okay, but IBF mandatory next, then we will fight you straight after. We will give you a contract with words to that effect. So you can either wait for that fight to happen, or you can come fight in Joshua's undercard and then we fight you after. As in, keep busy. Ortiz didn't want to do that. He wanted Deontay Wilder. He thought Deontay Wilder was an easier test. In other words, he beats Wilder, he gets a WBC title, then he comes to the negotiating table with Anthony Joshua for a bigger slice of the pie. It's a very smart move, except for the fact he didn't declare on his PED test that he was taking high blood pressure medication. Therefore, that fight with Wilder didn't happen. And because he failed a PED test, the WBA dropped him from the rankings, even though the WBC didn't. So I agree with that point, the WBA should not have dropped him. If the WBC didn't do it, the WBA should not have done it. That's just my opinion. So, on the night of the fight between Ortiz and Wilder, after these guys reschedule it, 1 hour before the ring walk, Luis Ortiz is not getting cleared by the medical team. 1 hour before the ring walk. They're telling him, you're not going out there. Your blood pressure is too high. Again, I've reported this plenty of times, and when I've said it recently, people say, oh, you're just repeating what Tyson Fury said. I was saying this a long, long time ago, before Tyson Fury was saying it. Where do you think Tyson Fury got it from? Much like, where do you think other people got it from about Shelly Finkel saying that Deontay Wilder's not ready right after he won the WBC title on 33 fights? Nobody was talking about it. I did it, and then suddenly everyone's talking about it. Is it coincidence? Maybe. Let's stick with coincidence. So no, I'm not just repeating Tyson Fury's words about Luis Ortiz not being medically cleared 1 hour before the fight. I was saying this long before Tyson Fury was. And again, with Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder, the only reason that fight was happening is because Showtime, Stephen Espinoza, again documented, forced Wilder into Luis Ortiz. They didn't want to sanction him fighting Bermane Stiverne again. They were unwilling to show it. They've had enough of Wilder fighting people who shouldn't be fighting, defending that belt against people who are not worthy of that title shot, as in Duapa, as in Molina, as in Spilka, as in Gerald Washington, etc. He even tried to fight Arthur Warzik. Warzik failed a PD test. Okay, but he should never have been fighting Warzik anyway. So, Showtime, Stephen Espinoza had enough and forced him into Luis Ortiz. So let's go right the way bang up to date right now. A couple of weeks ago, Eddie Hearn offered Deontay Wilder more money than 15 million. Don't quite know how much more it was as a guarantee, but as a percentage. In other words, we'll give you this percentage, but you are guaranteed to earn a minimum of whatever it may be. It's 15 or above, okay? Plus a two-way rematch. Win, lose or draw, you get a rematch with Joshua in America. Again, this is documented. Wilder is saying, no, I want to concentrate on Tyson Fury. I don't want to talk about anything like that. If it's not 50-50, then I'm not even going to talk into it. So who's the one who said originally, when a champion calls your name, you accept the challenge because it's about legacy, it's not about money. So for Deontay Wilder to say that Joshua hasn't fought anybody and all his opponents have been hyped, well, let's have a quick look at Joshua's opponent, shall we? In his 15th fight, Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is currently number 1 in the WBC. A guy that Wilder has avoided, even for $8 million plus US TV money. He avoided him. Scared to death of Dillian Whyte. Joshua beat Dillian Whyte when Dillian Whyte was undefeated. So number 1 WBC. He then fought Charles Martin. Charles Martin, a PBC fighter who, Deontay Wilder, is also a PBC fighter. In other words, in-house fight. It could have been made. But he didn't want to do it. They didn't want to pay Charles Martin the $5 million. They didn't want to invest in Wilder. They didn't want to make him a unified heavyweight champion. So Joshua went, fine, I'll do it. Yes, and I'll pay you $5 million. I will take a loss because that event took a loss. Joshua made virtually no money out of that fight. But they took a gamble on him to win it. Hence the reason why they're reaping the rewards right now. Okay, so again, Charles Martin, undefeated at the time. A lot of people were picking Charles Martin to beat Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was too green, wasn't ready. And I know that because I was one of the people saying it. Okay, then he defends his new IBF world title against Dominic Breazeale, undefeated at the time. Dominic Breazeale, currently the WBC mandatory. So that's 2 fighters, Dillian Whyte, Dominic Breazeale, number 1 and the mandatory, the WBC, that Joshua has already beaten. But yet, Joshua has a pallid resume, a hyped resume. Vladimir Klitschko, a guy who Deontay Wilder picked to beat Joshua. A guy who avoided Klitschko. Klitschko said to him, go fight somebody good. Let's make this fight bigger. What did he do? He went and fought Eric Molina. His own manager, Shelley Finkel, who managed Klitschko and Wilder, again I'm repeating it, said he's not ready, he's still a baby, still a prospect. So Joshua gets the WBA title. He's unified champion already on 19 fights. Wilder, who just had 40 fights, has still not unified. He could have unified against Joseph Parker, but didn't want to pay him, or sorry, only offered him, was it $5 million? When Joshua was offering him $10, $15 million, whatever it may be. I think it was 10. So, again, they can't afford it. But yet they can afford to pay Joshua $50 million. Why? Because Joshua is a big name and a brand. They're saying that Joshua needs to travel to America. Wilder's already travelled outside the US. Wilder has travelled to the UK once against Audley Harrison years and years ago. Since that had his title, he's had more defences than Joshua, and he's never travelled outside the US. And before then, he was travelling to Mexico and that. Not exactly leaving the border. Well, sorry, he's leaving the border, but not leaving the rock, is it? Like Joshua. Joshua fought in Cardiff in Wales. That's not England, right? So Wilder fighting in Mexico is the equivalent to Joshua fighting in Cardiff. What's the difference? No difference whatsoever. So Joshua, unified champion. He then goes to unify again in his 21st fight against Joseph Parker. Undefeated champion that Wilder avoided. And then he took on Alexander Povetkin after Wilder turned down the contract that he originally agreed to. Even though it's not about money, it's about legacy, right? When a champion calls your name, you rise to the challenge, you accept. And yet people out there believe this guy. It's okay to support Wilder and want him to win, but look at the facts. And I know a lot of Wilder fans don't like facts, but it's a fact. And Luis Ortiz, what's he ever done? He beat Bryant Jennings straight after Bryant Jennings lost to Vladimir Klitschko. That's his claim to fame. And people say people avoided Luis Ortiz. Wrong. Dylan White was calling out Luis Ortiz 2-3 years ago. And Ortiz wasn't doing it. Because Ortiz kept failing PED tests. Kept turning them down. He ended up fighting Dave Allen and Malik Scott instead. Listen, you need to keep updated with the boxing news if you're going to be writing down stupid comments. I've always got a rebuttal for you with a fact. That's what we do here. We give you facts. Anyway, that's Deontay Wilder's statement. So Joshua had his chance. Wrong. Wilder, you had your chance. Giving somebody a chance to fight you for money that isn't there, for a platform that you can't fight on, is not giving somebody a chance. He gave you a chance. He offered you a contract. You had a contract in front of you. All you had to do was put your name on it, and you would have guaranteed yourself undisputed title fight plus $15 million when your highest payday was $2.1 million. Pretty simple, isn't it? And now he's going to be fighting Tyson Fury, a guy who's been out the ring for however long. Went through, what did he go through over the last 2.5, 3 years? It's a cherry pick is what it is. So for Wilder to say that his fight with Tyson Fury is one face, one name, one champion, and people will actually believe this. But real boxing fans know what's going on. We know that this is a complete and utter mismatch. Even though we want Tyson Fury to win, we don't believe he win. But we hope that he will, and we hope that he's going to prove us wrong. Put an end to the lunacy of Deontay Wilder. Take that belt, Sophia, wipe it clean. I mean, who names their title Sophia after a god of the universe? Because he actually believes that he's anointed by this goddess. The boy's crackers. And people still want to give him a pass. Keep protecting him. And people in the comment section keep coming out with some stupidity. Anyway, hopefully I've covered everything. But I'm sure the Wilder fans will come out with something that I didn't cover in this video that I've already covered in plenty of other ones. As I said, if I felt Joshua was ducking, I would say Joshua was ducking. I have no allegiance to Joshua. Joshua's never come on this channel. Joshua's never given me a shout out or anything like that. So no, I have no allegiance to him. Anyway, you drop your thoughts below. As I said, I'll leave that article in the description box for you all. Go give it a read, come to your own conclusions, your own thoughts. Subscribe to this channel, of course, click that thumbs up, and catch you all on the next video.